人工智能越来越多地出现在我们的工作生活中，未来人工智能会不会反客为主？
I think everybody was shocked at the progress in the last several years.
科学研究应该如何在开放中进行协作？
In my own research, I just love to work with people. I'm just as happy if someone else solves a problem.
各国应如何对待基础科学？
China has decided to make this a priority, a long-run priority, and I think it's very impressive.
高端访谈专访图灵奖得主罗伯特·塔扬，敬请收看。
关注国际焦点，洞察世界风云。大家好，欢迎来到本期的高端访谈，我是邹燕。今天我们来到了2025国际基础科学大会，即将对话参会嘉宾之一，图灵奖得主罗伯特·塔扬。塔扬教授是计算机科学领域的领军人物。 从大型数据库的管理到笔记本电脑、手机等众多智能设备的效率提升，他的研究成果可以说是汇集了计算机科学的方方面面。获得大会2025年度基础科学终身成就奖，塔扬教授有什么样的感受？他如何看待基础科学研究对于科技创新的推动作用？中国科技发展日新月异，他又期待在哪些领域与中国同行展开交流合作呢？ 今天我们一起在对话中寻找答案。
7月13日，2025国际基础科学大会在北京开幕。罗伯特·塔扬获得基础科学终身成就奖，颁奖词将他称为计算机科学领域的远见者，用无与伦比形容他的学术成就，并写道：他的工作塑造了现代计算，并激励了几代研究者。 塔扬38岁就成为最年轻的图灵奖得主之一，学术成果众多，获奖无数。在基础科学大会的领奖台上，塔扬从上衣口袋里掏出折好的几页纸，缓缓展开手写的获奖致辞。这一幕成为他半个世纪的学术生涯中珍贵而特殊的一刻。
Most importantly, to my family who gave life meaning. Thanks to my father and mother, George and Helen Tarjan, who are no longer with us. They gave me unconditional love and provided a nurturing and stimulating environment in which to grow up. Without them, of course, I wouldn't be here. My father taught me a couple of valuable lessons. One is, what is in your head, no one can take away. And if you have a good mind, you have a responsibility to use it in service to everyone.
Professor Tarjan, thank you so much for joining us on Leaders Talk. And first thing first, congratulations to you for winning the 2025 Basic Science Lifetime Award of ICBS. And I saw you this morning at the award ceremony when you deliver a speech. You get a little bit emotional. So what does this recognition mean to you, and does it hold any special significance, especially for this China trip?
It's well, it's an award for lifetime achievement, which is kind of different from an award for a specific accomplishment. So it gave me a chance to reflect on the long career I've had, and also to go back and think about the people who mentored me and supported me over the years, and to think about my parents who passed away not recently. So it was an emotional experience. And the set of awardees is so amazing. It's just kind of, it's a humbling experience to be in this group. You have Nobel Prize winners and Fields medalists, and it's the creme de la creme. It's quite amazing.
You mentioned that winning an award was never the primary motivation of you, and you have described it as winning this award as a funny business. What do you mean by that?
There are many more great scientists than there are awards. So the process of being picked for an award, there's a certain randomness to it, yes? So I see an award like this one. This is recognition for me, but also for all my collaborators, and more so for my field. I think it's important that we step off our high horse and try to be a little bit humble about these things.
This year's meeting, brought together about 1,000 leading scientists from over 40 countries and regions. And they're going to talk about the same topic, which is advancing science for humanity. So here at the forum, what are some of the key messages do you plan to convey?
I think it's a method of doing research, actually. The kinds of questions I get from students all the time are not specific about problems, but how do I approach the whole idea of doing research? It's important to ask the right questions. It's important to be open. It's important to collaborate. It's important to share knowledge. It's important to read skeptically. Always question what you think is true and verify for yourself. So I think it's more about specific ideas. It's more about sharing the approach to research and trying to build a community. I think that's what this meeting is all about. Not only within each field, but between fields. There's an opportunity for rich interactions between mathematicians and physicists and computer scientists. I think the possibilities are amazing. Scientific research is getting more and more interdisciplinary, and this meeting is a representative of that fact.
That's also a representative of the scientific project between you and Professor John Hopcroft.
Yes.
And also, actually, you received the Turing Award jointly with Professor Hopcroft back in 1986 for the significant achievements in the design and analysis of algorithm and data structure. So, Professor, if you don't mind, could you please introduce to us and our viewers who might not be very familiar with this concept and how it is applied in real-world scenario?
And we started talking about depth-first search, which is really just maze traversal. So you start at a point and you want to walk through a maze and keep track of your path so you can back up and eventually get back to your starting point. But this is a fundamental algorithmic technique which you can use to explore any kind of graph. So we started studying the theory of this and applying it to various graph problems. So imagine that you have an electric circuit that you want to embed into a circuit board. You can't have wires crossing because then things short out. So you need to make connections between certain points so that no two wires are crossing. This is the planarity testing problem. Runs very fast in practice and is simple enough that people can actually implement it. So for that and other applications of depth-first search and various other things, eventually we got the Turing Award.
I've had the chance to talk to Professor Hopcroft about 2 years ago, and I remember there's one thing that's very clearly that which he shared with me is that he's spoken with many Nobel Prize laureates and Turing Awards winners, and he asked them about, is there like a specific strategy that attributed to their success? The answer is actually no. It's more about pursuing what they really enjoy. How do you think educators or schools or educational institutions can cultivate this culture for students, for young people to really explore, discover, and then pursue their true passion?
I think schools have to give an opportunity to students to take some time and explore different subjects and worry less about grades than just curiosity-driven exploration. It's a challenge, you know. Very young kids are endlessly curious and exploring everything.
Right.
And somehow they get into the education system and they start getting evaluated, and then they get scared and they lose their creativity and their curiosity and so on. This is very destructive. I think we have to find ways to overcome this. I think it's very important to find your passion, but it also, to do anything great requires dedication. Solving mathematics is very harsh. It's either right or wrong. Yes, you either have a theorem or you don't have a theorem. The proof breaks. So you have to be willing to bang your head against the wall 99 times. Nothing works. The 100th time, a miracle occurs. And you can't do that without just being in love with the subject and the material. It has to be internally driven, I think, rather than externally driven for whatever, for money or fame. I do it for the beauty of the subject. It's beautiful to me. That's why I love doing it.
热爱天文学，梦想成为第一个登上火星的人。读科幻小说，做杂志上的数学游戏。好奇心和探索欲谱写了罗伯特·塔扬青少年时期的主旋律，成为他踏上科学之路的原动力。高中时期，塔扬尝试用计算机证明风靡数学界的四色定理，这是一个看似简单却困扰数学家100年的问题。给任何地图填色，保证相邻国家颜色不同，需要几种颜色？答案是4种颜色。这一猜想自1852年提出以来，难倒了无数世界上最聪明的大脑。1976年，美国数学家肯尼斯·阿佩尔和沃尔夫冈·哈肯运用2台计算机，耗时50个日夜，穷举式地推演海量可能性，成功证明了四色定理，这让当时28岁的塔扬感到振奋。
And I want to show you something. This might be, of course, very familiar to you. Four-color theorem.
Yes.
And also Martin Gardner is something that you loved when you were a kid, the column and everything. And this is something that you were trying to solve during high school. And there was this intensive debate about whether this proof qualifies as a human triumph. What's your take on that?
That's the proof of the four-color theorem. So I'm a computer scientist. I believe that the fact that computers were used in the process of solving it is a beautiful thing. And I mean, to a mathematician, perhaps the ideas in the proof are kind of elementary, not deep in mathematical terms, but I see them as beautiful algorithmic techniques. So I was thrilled.
Artificial intelligence wasn't your first option, Professor, because back then, many decades ago, you thought at that time that AI was too fuzzy and, in your own words, was not mathematical enough. So did you foresee the state of AI as what it is today back then?
Absolutely not. I think it was quite a surprise to everyone. I mean, this idea of neural nets has been around for quite a long time, but it required scaling up. You know, Moore's law eventually created the possibility to have neural nets do these very significant computations. And I think everybody was shocked at the progress in the last several years. The possibility of essentially absorbing all the information on the internet and synthesizing that, its ability to synthesize information in the entire human knowledge base and bring it back to me in ways that I can understand it and use it. This couldn't have been possible even 10 years ago, but it is possible now, and we have no idea what it will bring in the future.
What do you think could be the possible trend, the rising new trends in the near future?
I'm not an expert in this area, so I'm a little bit reluctant to comment, but I do have kind of an opinion. There are sort of two sides, right? There are the people who think that in a few years we will get to the singularity where these systems are smarter than human beings and they become smarter and smarter, and then what happens to us? And then there are the people who think AI has always gone in cycles, and now we're at the top of a hype cycle and it's much higher than any previous one, and these systems are going to be extremely important. But maybe this idea of them becoming super intelligent, these systems are becoming super intelligent, and I'm kind of more on that side. I think about the way children learn, right? They're endlessly curious and they're exploring things actively. And I don't think these systems yet have quite gotten to that point where they're exploring and curious and goal-oriented. I also think there's a big challenge in terms of the ethics and emotions and so on.
And China has experienced explosive surge in AI development, especially in recent years with the emergence of startups like DeepSeek. So how would you evaluate the role of China in this global AI landscape?
I think not just in AI, but in basic science across the board, China has decided to make this a priority, a long-run priority, and I think it's very impressive. Actually, the progress so far is incredible, and I look forward to seeing much more in the future.
What do you believe are some of the most, or some of the competitive advantages of China in improving and propelling the development of AI?
Consistent long-term support, a very strong education system in STEM subjects, plenty of eager young students who are interested in these things.
What do you think are the most distinctive features and characteristics of Chinese students?
I think they're incredibly well trained, so they come extremely well prepared. And what they need to learn is how to use that preparation to explore, to be curious, to come up with original ideas. And I think I'm just getting more and more impressed, actually, with the quality of Chinese students coming to the U.S. and ones that I have met other places.
聚焦基础科学，引领人类未来，这是国际基础科学大会自2023年开办以来不变的主题。在基础科学界，这是一场众星云集的盛会。菲尔兹奖、诺贝尔奖、图灵奖等国际大奖得主，飞身中外的学术泰斗，崭露头角的科学新秀，满怀憧憬与期待的年轻学子汇聚一堂，碰撞着思想的火花，探寻无尽的科学世界。在这里，引领人类未来的主题词不是代表许愿与期待的将来时，而是实实在在发生的现在进行时。
Our Chinese President Xi has outlined a comprehensive vision about building China into a strong nation in science and technology by 2035. And in this, he also emphasized the need for a stronger sense of urgency and greater strides in innovation to seize the commanding heights in sci-tech computation and future development. How do you interpret the significance of this vision?
It's incredibly significant. I just hope in the process, basic science plays an important long-term role, and that has to be part of this whole endeavor. And I think that it is, actually, as represented by the support for this conference and for the organizations in Beijing that do basic science research.
And how do you understand the significance of this international gathering?
We're trying to improve the state of everyone on the planet. We have incredible planetary threats these days. If we're going to solve these problems, we have to solve them together. And speaking personally, I mean, in my own research, I just love to work with people. I'm just as happy if someone else solves a problem, because then I get to understand it as if I solved the problem myself. That's maybe a naive point of view, but...
It's not. It's definitely not. Yes, maybe that's the nature of everything. We need cooperation, international cooperation as well.
I think cooperation is very important.
And let's talk about something maybe is your favorite, algorithms. Tarjan algorithm, which you developed, actually revolutionized social network analysis and web search. So what were your initial goals when establishing such algorithm?
Understanding the mathematics of it, actually. I was always fascinated by puzzles as a kid, and
yes.
These are just amazing puzzles, but it turns out that you can actually use solutions to these things to run algorithms on computers and solve real-world problems.
And you have characterized good algorithm as simple, fast, beautiful, and analyzable. Well, maybe it's a little bit easier to understand fast, simple, etc. But what do you mean by beautiful algorithm? What are some of the factors that you believe are aesthetically appealing to you in terms of those data structures?
Now, that's a hard question. Art is in the eye of the beholder, right? I think
That's right.
the essence of a good algorithm is you're trying to solve a problem, so there's certain aspects of the data that you have to do computation on. If you can find an algorithm that looks at exactly the right part of the data and does exactly the right computation, no more, no less, that's an elegant algorithm, especially if it uses some deep ideas.
And you have encountered many stimulating teachers along the way. For instance, Mr. Wall, you also mentioned him this morning.
Yes.
It was your 8th grade math teacher who sparked your great and serious interest in math. So, Professor Tarjan, transitioning from being influenced by those stimulating great teachers to now being one yourself, what are some of the lessons that you have drawn from experience and you're now trying to bring forward to your students?
Maintain high standards, look on both sides of a problem, read skeptically. The best problems are the ones you discover for yourself. So elegance, use as few words as possible. Make things as simple as possible. Explore the design space. Don't settle for the first solution, but seek this idea, this hard to define idea of elegance, simple and deep.
And beautiful.
And I try to, yes, and beautiful. I mean, I try to, the best way to teach is to be a model. Now, you can't tell somebody a solution, but if you can demonstrate through action. So I try to demonstrate through what I do, the way I work, model a kind of behavior for my students.
What kind of model or role model are you trying to setting up for your students? What kind of, values and philosophy do you think are valuable to young scientists?
I think if you have a brain, you owe it to humanity to use it in constructive and useful ways to society. I think that's important. And I think collaboration also. Don't be selfish about your ideas. You will gain much more if you're open and sharing than if you try to hold back and do everything yourself. That's a beautiful thing about computer science. I find it much more pleasant to collaborate with people, to work on problems together. The human process is pleasant as well as solving the problem.
Which part of doing scientific research do you enjoy the most? And also because, as you said, this is a really tough journey. It's not only about true passion and love. There are many moments that you don't know whether there is an answer. There are many moments that really you want to give up, that you feel hopeless. At those defining moments, what kind of spirit that kept you go on?
I switched to another problem. See, there's a vast array of possible problems to work on. If you can't solve one problem, maybe you can solve another problem. So if you have a few of them to trade off against each other, that's one thing. Another thing is you get stuck. You leave the problem for weeks or months or sometimes years. Come back to it later. Maybe now you have a new insight. So the brain works in funny ways. You know, the process is as much unconscious as it is conscious, which makes it interesting.
When you were a child, when your mom took you to library, you have this great interest in reading science fiction novels.
Yes.
So how has those early exposure to science fiction books shaped your understanding of scientific research and advancement?
It interested me in science. It drove me to try to understand what we can accomplish with our minds. I mean, I wanted to be the first person on the Mars. This is still possible, but maybe not
it's
anymore.
Still possible.
I am not. I lost this ambition some time ago, but somehow I discovered mathematics and fell in love with the subject. It's
right.
You know, it has the advantage that a statement is either a theorem or it's not a theorem. Everything is black and white, cut and dried, and it's incredibly complicated. So it appeals to my sense of puzzles and to my desire to see things resolved ultimately.
Do you still read science fiction now, or have you ever read any Chinese science fiction books, like The Three-Body Problem? I don't know.
Yes, I have read The Three-Body Problem.
Really?
Actually, all 3 volumes. Fascinating.
I do like it.
I enjoyed it very much. It extrapolates way beyond, I think, how we understand the universe, but it's a wonderful book, I thought. Yes.
It gives you a different perspective.
Yes, yes. It takes you out of yourself, out of this world, and puts you into some other place.
Professor Tarjan, it was a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you for sharing those very insightful views. Greatly appreciated.
You're very well informed, if I may say so. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
在专访当中，塔扬教授说，中国的科技强国战略和对基础科学的重视令他印象深刻。用头脑造福社会，不吝分享，保持开放，乐于合作，是他最希望传承的科学精神。他表示，在科学世界，人与人的合作、学科之间的合作以及国与国的合作尤为珍贵。感谢您收看本期的高端访谈，我是邹韵，我们下期再会。